Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Small Business Stories. You know me, Dr. LL, Loralyn Mears, and just absolutely fascinated by the treasure trove of guests that we're bringing to you every week. In the house today, we've got Kenneth Corrêa, live from Brazil. And he said, I just got back from World Economic Forum, Davos, this, that, all these things. But he's coming to us from Brazil, and he talks about cognitive organizations and how we can better leverage the full power of AI, especially as we shift from generative to agentic AI, which is the next rev. Ken, welcome to the show. Pardon me, Kenneth, welcome to the show.
All right. Thank you very much, Lauren. It's a pleasure to be here with you discussing this topic that's still hot, right? Usually those hypes, they last for 2 years or so, but we're 3 years in the generative AI revolution and still pumping.
It is. And I want to talk about that because I think you nailed it. One of the big disparities that I see is that people are trying to leverage it and learn it at the same time, but it's changing so fast. How do we even keep up with it? What do we do?
It's hard to keep up, right? Even I, that I'm of course all into the new tools and testing it out. It's hard because the average product release only in the realm of AI, which I agree is a big one, is like 15 new products per day. So it's impossible, right? Usually we can test one or two tools a month and it's spitting out like 50 per day. So the focus here is you have to have good people that you trust, those early adopters that usually will talk about a tool, not on the first look, not because they saw this advertising, but the real users of the tool, people that are really getting their hands dirty and implementing either automations or workflows or even like single shot assistants. But I think you have to like to try to figure some names out, and those are the people you're gonna follow because trying to embrace everything, definitely, absolutely possible, right?
It is. It's absolutely overwhelming. I like to think of myself as a technical, cool nerd that I follow up on all of this sort of stuff, but I can't keep up. And all of my network, they're like, Laura, you're the one who figures this out. Like, LL, like, what do we do? I'm like, oh my God, where do you want to start? Right? Where, because you could go in all 360 degrees. Where do you want to take it? It's too much.
Definitely, right? Yeah, it is. And like it's like CloudBot was probably the last huge hype a week ago. And we're like, oh, I have to use it. I have to connect my computer and like get all my data into this new product. I have no idea who developed. So it gets full access to my computer, to my credit cards, to my logins and passwords. Wait. Let's try just take a step back and what you're doing, right? Why you're doing it? That's maybe a very good question to ask. So that's again why I like to have some people that I connect to and I'm talking to them. I have some WhatsApp groups where people are like evaluating, assessing these new tools and try to get a filter of that. And that's how we kind of stay cool about it as well. There's no reason to freak out. We're never going to be 100% on top of everything. I think this is something some people call it the singularity in a sense. So that moment in time when there's so much new stuff that you cannot get a hang on to it. So it's time maybe to relax and say, okay, I'll do what I can do, and that's good enough, right?
Now, I'm looking at, for the people that don't have the visual experience, I'm looking at Kenneth's hand here, and he's got a ring on it. It looks like it's one of those that's tracking biometrics and things, or maybe it's just a beautiful black onyx ring. I can't tell.
No, it's an aura ring. You're absolutely right. Smart ring, right? Capturing my heart rate and body temperature and my oxygenation. I don't think that's the name in English, but the oxygen saturation rate in my bloodstream. And it gives me so many good insights into not only sleep. So if I go to sleep too early or too late, how do I get up every day? If I have like a large, heavy meal before I go to sleep, how does that impact? And again, the good thing about using the wearables, the health tech wearables, is you don't get like general for everyone, one size fits all feedbacks. You're getting like personalized tips, which is again amazing. So for me, it's very good to know the what I do in the last 2 hours before I go to bed, and how does my sleep influences my next day. So this is the Aura Ring. I really like it. Again, as a early adopter, like to use and I had a meeting at CES in Las Vegas this early January with the Aura Ring CEO. And he was telling all the stories about the company. But one that I really like, Loralyn, is he said, when we launched the product, it was all about nerds. Like 85% of the first year users were men that wanted to keep up with the health and they were doing like heavy exercise. But now it's 70% women.
Mm.
And one of the main features that women love about the product is following the menstrual cycle throughout the month. So my wife, for example, she gets like early warnings, which are great for women, right? I know this is not my area of expertise, definitely, but I
Oh,
get some feedback from my wife. And for men and women as well, it informs you that you are going to get sick. Get that? You know when you do that like that sneeze, and then you say, "Oh gosh, something
it's
is wrong."
coming, right?
The Aura Ring tells you about that one day before that single sneeze or throat alarm. So it's very good because you can already jump on your vitamins or do some resting or whatever you do for health. So this is it. The Aura Ring, yes, a part of
No,
my
I figured it was it, and you're right about that. If you start to get sick, that little scratch, it's like drown yourself. Take a bubble bath in vitamin C, whatever you've got to do, right? Whatever your favorite
yes.
method is. Now, I'm a bit older school. As much as I love tech, I have the Fitbit, but where I
All
was
right.
going with this was along the lines of what you just said about the online, these cloud bots and things taking over everything. Are we giving up too much, Kenneth? All of our information are,
We
I often wonder
absolutely
about that.
are. Definitely, there's never been a moment in time where we gave as many information that we give as of right now. But remember that since we started using a mobile phone, that's when we lost the war, right? Because this big bad boy here knows everything. You click, how much time you stay on the screen, what you're watching, what you're reading, what you're listening to. So yes, we are giving out a lot of our information. There's of course something that comes into exchange. For example, since it hears whatever we're talking around the phone, you can get personalized advertising. That's absolutely nothing you wish for,
Right.
right? But
No, I
the
know.
ad companies, media companies, Meta loves us for doing that because they can deliver the right ad. We're going to click, we're going to buy. Their advertisers are going to put into some more money. And remember, if you are not, what's the quote again? If you're the product. If you're not paying for it, you're the
Right. You are the
product, right?
product. Yeah, exactly.
So that's
Well,
exactly
that's
what's
just
happening
it.
right now. Definitely. But I will say in my defense here or in Aura's defense that the feedback I'm getting from Aura, and I paid for it, right? So I hope I'm not a product, but the feedback I'm getting is like it's worth it. I think it's all about getting the return on what kind of information you want to see, right?
Oh, yeah. It's just, are you willing to give up that information? Like you said, like I think we lost the war a long time ago. And it's funny. I know what my husband's children from his first wife, what they're surfing and what his ex-wife is surfing, because if they go back and forth and they're on her network or come back, it's like, oh, she's looking at that brand of a car. Is your mom buying a car? Right? Because you see, because the ads get presented to you. It's too much. It's TMI in so many levels.
It's
Oh,
crazy, right? And I even like to say, Laurelyn, that if you open like TikTok or Instagram and you click on the explore button, I'll give it a try here before I show it to you, right? But if you click on the small I forgot the name in English for this, like
icon.
lenses. Yes, this icon, it like shows you some information. Since I'm a skier, just finished a ski season in North America and the in Switzerland. So this knows more about you than your shrink knows, right? Because it really knows everything that you consume and use and see and check and click.
So that said, with sort of the new normal being every technology provider knows more about us than anybody else, complete with when our menstrual cycle is going to begin because it knows that for us, right? I mean, this is like really, really dialed in. Is it going too far to create a digital twin? Or is this something that you've considered?
Well, there are some companies already working on solutions where you can get like a full body scan and this like batch of exams, get all this information in an I'll call it a AI environment because this is all digital, right? You don't want like a digital twin or a twin that is actually physical. Digital is fine. So you get that in a definitely, right? Well, I remember some 20 years ago, people were talking about you getting a twin and then you're creating organs. Maybe you would need a liver, right? You get an extra liver, so it's not that definitely. We're talking about simulations, and they deliver an AI twin with health data, and they can project how we're going to develop or which diseases you're going to. For example, if you happen to donate your DNA for 23andMe, that company that broke, right? What they did is after the company was broke already, they didn't have an end, they sold 100% of every customer's DNA data to whoever paid the highest bid. So yes, we're definitely going too far with that. And I hope we can get at least something good out of it, but still, it's too much.
And it is. And the digital twin where I was going to was I get exposed to a lot of software invitations, beta test, this, that kind of thing, because I'm in the space. And like I said, I'm a cool technical nerd. And I've been offered a couple of opportunities to create my digital twin, not from my healthcare and biometrics side, but from my complete body of work. So take my 3.5 terabytes of content that I've created just in the last few years alone, suck it in, digest it, analyze it, spit out what I should be doing, shouldn't be doing, and then direct me. And I thought, no, that's just too far. Okay, my Fitbit, I'll let you know how I'm, how fast my heart's beating and the rest of that, but I'm not giving you my entire intellectual capital, my brain trust. I mean, what do you think of that?
But Lauren, let me tell you something. Before I answer you how I feel about it, let me just add a bit of information, which is at CES, the Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas again, there were like 10 different companies maybe where they are selling like small pins or necklaces or bands that are really recording 100% of the environment, of the sound of the environment into. And the idea is exactly what you mentioned, is like giving you tips or acting like a co-pilot for real life. Or if you're dating, this is your wingman right there. And so this is something out of sci-fi movies that we already have products in the market for. It's not something like, oh, we're just trying to think
Star
ahead
Trek.
of time. It's already there. I'll tell you that. So now with my opinion, I think it's absolutely crazy. In the same way that I think that people using ChatGPT or any other AI assistant as uh, their psychologist, like asking for relationship advice and not remembering that this is actually a calculator and you're not supposed to be asking a calculator if you should make like a big decision in your life. So yes, definitely crazy. But what my wife told me, she works with health related data. She's a doctor, and she said that the amount of data we're going to create in 2026, so this is a piece of information for this year, is that's the first time we're going to have more health data coming from wearables, so individual personalized devices, than all the healthcare data we got around the world. So this is a threshold we'll be crossing this year.
It is absolutely mind blowing. Like insert
Mind blowing.
exploding head emoji, right? Right. It's just
Definitely.
it's too much. And when we think about the amount and the volumes that are out there, how we cut through it. And to your point, even about healthcare data, here's something that I'll share. I won't name names, but one of the top three global health insurance companies is requiring that all of its psychiatrists, psychotherapists, therapists, counselors, caseworkers put all their notes into a special repository or they won't get their reimbursement claim. So, what does that say? They're building an AI therapist,
Definitely.
right?
Yes, you saw it right there. It's in your face, right?
Yeah,
You got the plan. I get it. Wow, that's
it's
crazy, right? Yes,
right. This
again, talking about privacy or something that doesn't exist anymore, which is privacy. Because once
no.
your health insurance got information about what you talk to your psychologist, how far can they go? How
Right.
deeper can they go, right?
Right, that's just it. And you think, oh, okay, so if my health insurance provider knows that I'm, and I know we can't say these words, but I'm thinking of, what are you calling it? What's the word that people use? Not living, right?
Okay, I got you.
If I'm making
I
those
know.
choices and having those conversations with my therapist, am I going to be denied potential insurance, life insurance policies? Am I going to be denied access to employment? Right? All of these things. It's really a fine line, right? Like who has the data
Absolutely.
integrity? Like,
But again, Lauren, and that's something that I felt at the World Economic Forum, and I don't mean to sound naive here, please, that's not my point, but that's probably why every government official, every big company executive there, C-level wise, was they always, when they mentioned AI, they were like, yeah, we were doing this, but, and then they mentioned some kind of guardrails or regulation. And I know they're not doing that because they want the good for humanity. That's not that. But they're being forced in to talk about this stuff because they understood how powerful the tech in itself is for making decisions like denying claims and all that. So I really think that I don't know if I can say humanity, but I really think that major Western world was able to create a feeling that we really need to regulate that. That's gone too far, and we need to set some basic, at least limits for that, or else it's gonna become even crazier than it is right now.
it is, as we're starting to see all these cases now challenging the courts at the level of parents who are grieving deeply because their child went to AI and then they explored the, I'm always trying to think of the word, the unliving realm, right? And explored that. And so now, of course, who are they holding accountable? Are they going to hold these social media giants? Are they going to hold these AI providers? And so we'll leave that where that is because I think that's a big opening. Let's
Yeah.
bring it back to where
And I
you are.
do think
Go ahead.
that this decision, whatever decision it is going to be like really long discussion with like a really heavy and important decision, but it's going to take a while. So well, I don't know where it's going. We need to stay close. We need to understand what's happening, but having an answer to that, I think that's still like pretty much far away here.
Yeah, it is. But it also at the same time, it can't happen soon enough. We need it now, right?
Yeah.
We need those guardrails. We need to protect our children. We need to protect our spouses. We need to protect everybody, humanity.
Intellectual property, right? With all
Too.
the cloning and deep fakes, those artists are organizing themselves. I was listening to Ben Affleck and Matt Damon at a
Hmm.
podcast with Joe Rogan, and they were discussing exactly that. Like some people already sold, I mean, signed a contract and offered like all the remaining time of their existence and beyond that, the rights to their voices and everything that they said through all their lives. And this is being commercialized already. Again, not future, it's not a movie, it's already happening. So I agree with you. We need it right now, but we haven't got the faintest idea of how to deal with that. And again, I
No, and
think
I
this is something, Laureline, working with emerging tech that I've been feeling for some time. Of course, it's faster and more impactful right now with AI, but every other wave before this one was all about technology gave us something. It's powerful. We don't know how to do with that. But once that Pandora box is open in the wild and it's in the wild, there's no putting it back, right? So this is something that technology always does. It gets in, finds its space, and then we have to settle or either accommodate or talking about how companies and employees inside companies should deal with that is to adapt. This is the word. I'm doing a convention right now in my company, 150 employees, and we're discussing exactly adaptation. How do we adapt to that crazy changing, everyday changing environment?
Oh, so a couple of things. One, I listened to that. I don't usually listen to Joe Rogan's podcast, why would I? I've got my podcast and fascinating guests to
Of
listen to.
course.
Touche, right? But I did listen to that one and heard a lot of what they were saying about that. And so that was one thing I thought, and very interesting, even in how they're having to create movies because of the level of distraction that they have to keep reinserting the plot. Netflix requires 3 times that it must be an obvious plot statement in case somebody went to get a coffee, go to the bathroom, whatever they did, play with the dog, cat, kid, whatever. And lost the plot, literally. So I thought
Yeah,
that was interesting. And on your
true.
point of adaptation, actually, that's one of the things that I'm known for. I teach people adaptive leadership because it is all about how do you absorb and respond to the changes that are happening and do it in a way that doesn't blanket so that you don't one size fits all to your team. You recognize where everybody is, they're all at different places, and to be cliche, meet people where they're at and try to figure out how that should change your leadership style. And I always start off with this, and I want to get your reaction. People think they're a leader because they're in the title. And I say, look behind you. Do you have followers? Do you have people following you? Because if you don't have people choosing to follow you, you're not a leader.
I love it. I love it. Makes absolutely sense. In Brazil, we have a phrase that we use like it's non-official leadership. That's westernization I couldn't find right now, but it's the idea that leadership emerges from human relationships, right? It's not about the title, it's what you represent to other people. So this is something that we discuss a lot in my company, and we're trying to create this leadership development programs, and we really see that some people, I don't know the percentage, but a part of people will go to the formalize and they need the badge and they need to be put in like a high place for everyone else. But the best leaders we've got in the way we measure leadership is not how beautiful the person looks, but the idea of how does the people below them generate results, right? So those are the best leaders that we've got are the ones that get best result out of their people. And it's definitely those ones that are natural leaders from relationship and the environment. Not necessarily, sometimes yes, but not necessarily the ones with the badge.
Bingo, right? And I think the world's starting to see this. And let's flip it now over to your book and then your whole company on cognitive organization. So it
Okay.
is really looking at that relationship as we go from, where we had in the past AI. I mean, it was basically keyword filtering, let's be real. Then, of course, into the generative AI, nice to have prompts and be interactive. And now, of course, agentic AI. So I never completed my certification, but I did the Salesforce, like Agent Force, a lot of the journeys and learning through that and how to do that and didn't complete. How is this all lining up for companies? Because they've got to be more clear in their strategy and they've got to transform, which is the thesis of your book. But at the same time, the AI is happening so fast. Should they keep switching strategies or like everybody gets to be a little bit like sort of schizophrenic? How does that all balance out?
Yeah, so a big difference from when I got into a business school the first time as a student is that my professors at that time they taught me and they showed me a world that was very linear. Like every company now is looking into that. Every company now is doing this or that. But after I joined the market, started working first as an employee, and then after that, providing services to these large companies here in Latin America, from Mexico down to Argentina, especially in Brazil, my home country, is that I realized that every company is at a different level or a different maturity. I'm talking here about management. I'm talking about how they develop their products and their market. So what I can feel as of right now is that there's a small group, maybe some 10, 15% of companies that really understood that agentic AI is not about automating whatever you were doing before. It's the idea that you have to redesign your products, your services, and especially your org chart, right? The way you put your departments and areas and squads around the idea that you're going to have human agents and artificial intelligent agents working together in fit. So those are like 15% of companies. Most companies are still trying to automate whatever they had before. And I think those are going to be the losers in the long run, or because they will not adapt as fast as the market will pressure them to, right? So the way I look at it right now is you either have a person or a team, or if you can, a person in every team that is looking at these changes, tapping into these tools, running labs or tests or prototypes or proof of concepts around to try to figure out what's the best new way to serve your clients, to provide products or services to them, are the ones that will be able to win. And I'm not talking here about artificial general intelligence or either a Matrix or Skynet like in the Terminator movie. I'm talking about every company realizing, thinking in first principles, like Aristotle used to say. They say Elon Musk created that, but it's Aristotle, right? That you're gonna have to really look into the company, see what do we do, to whom we do what we do, and how do we design the best structure for that. I think those are the winners in this game.
Oh, I agree completely because it's not about taking what you already do and just automating it or AIifying it. It's looking systematically, right, at as the system and saying what's working, what's not, where do we need to drive to? Oh, okay, if we're going in that direction, then we need to layer in these new technologies or approaches or agents, right? AI agents to be able to enable us to go in that direction because that's where the market pressures are pushing us, not, oh, let's just automate what we already have. Like you said, they'll be the losers, the ones left behind.
That's it, right? So in this company here that we're doing this event right now, we change one of our processes. For example, we run ads. So we're trying to target the right customers with the right message at the right times. This is what we do. So we have a marketing team, and we used to have a Slack account where all the team is there. So when we need a change in the ad, somebody doesn't like a color or a message or a photo, they would message, oh, change this or change that. Now, everything in that part of the process, so asking for a change in a creative, asking for new targeting demographic or geographics, this is 100% automatized. We created this small network of agents where every person that has something in Slack will be evaluated by an AI. Then they will make the change. They will even create new options of images and photos and all that. They run those ads for a week and they get an answer back. All of this part is automated right now. So we don't need people more losing their time into organizing a task, putting it on Trello, and then running this task to this other person, right? We don't need any of that. The idea is now we discuss results. Now we nudge whatever the direction we're going to, because that's where humans can add a lot more value than the calculator, right? That's how I like to call it AI, so we can make the comparison.
Let's dig into that last part because I think that's really important. So, as intelligent agents, AI agents, whatever, and with, of course, Salesforce and Mark Benioff determined, right, to pioneer the way into the autonomous workforce, right? All this stuff going on. And we think, okay, AI agents are everywhere. They're in our workflows, all the ones you talked about. What do you think are the most overlooked human capabilities that organizations need to develop so that they can stay competitive?
Well, definitely as like an easy answer is going to be like hard skills versus soft skills, right? Because most of the hard skills relating to having a specific knowledge and applying that knowledge, this is where AI shines. If you have organized documentation, you have a methodology or a structure or something like that, AI can really run the job smoothly. So on the soft skills side, whenever you have people with critical thinking, people that are able to find or to ask the better or the best questions whenever those questions are needed and important. People that are non-conformists, right? So people that will discuss uh, the opposite of what everybody is trying to say there. I think those are three like major behaviors, let's call it that, that nobody's paying attention to. I'm not talking about only creativity because I think it's too general of a word, but especially people that confront the idea of criticizing being a major force in a world where after you decide, the execution part runs smoother, right? So you need people that can make informed decisions, people that can question whatever status quo, whatever system that was already into place. So I think those are the talents that we're really scanning throughout our organizations.
Gotcha. I started my business focusing on soft skills, teaching Gen Z because everybody my age, I'm Gen X, but I identify as Gen Z, is what I like to say.
All
Everybody
right.
Gen Z was saying, they don't have any soft skills. But when I was reaching out to help Gen Z with soft skills, they said, yeah, I don't need no stinking soft skills. We're really smart. We can go on TikTok because that was just starting to boom at the time. And they said, we don't need that. Parents said, oh, yes, you do. And then parents pointed to the teachers and said, teachers, you're responsible for teaching my kids soft skills. And teachers said, parents, it's up to you. And then nobody was. And getting caught in the middle of that was a disaster. I ended up making and pivoting, making more money, teaching people who were mature, who had to either manage the people who had the soft skills or the lack thereof, because they're the ones that wanted to change and wanted to learn to deal with it. So that's where I focus my business, hence the adaptive leadership. But let's come back around to this. So with your book, for those that haven't read it, myself included, I will be honest, I have not read it. So, cognitive organizations, what's the key takeaway, Kenneth? Why should people pick up this book?
Again, you pretty much draw the line where you got AI as like this really niche area, and then the LLM explosion where everybody can use Microsoft Copilot or Google's Gemini. But the next step being this agentic revolution, what I figured out maybe a little bit before agents become the major topic of discussion. So the book was launched in September 24 at the MIT, was that when you start creating these automated workflows, the need for humans as a part of the process, or how nerds like us like to call it, the human in the loop, was like it became really clear, clear as blue sky, that you're gonna to need people inside workflows. Because a major line of discussion is that AI is going to take everyone's jobs. And people will double down on that and say that out loud. And some people are invoking like this major jobs apocalypse and stuff. Oh, there's not going to be any more entry level workers, and what's going to happen to consultants and all that. But in my own company, and we automate a lot of our tasks. We have in 2026 the largest number of entry level workers that we have had in the last 10 years, maybe, because there's no relationship between automating and destroying jobs. That's what people get wrong. The thing with automation is you're able to do a lot more with the time you have. You're able to deliver a lot more with the team that you're already on. So whenever we start generating more and doing more, that's when you need new areas. That's when you hire more people. I have 138 people in the team as of today, and this number has grown in the past 3 years. Talking about LLMs and then the agentic revolution, we have like a 50% increase of people in 3 years. So that's a lot considering the economy and considering how things are going. But what we figured out in the major insight I want people to take out from the book is that people are going to be needed more and more and more, because we are actually going to have to do lots of things, more and more and more stuff. So I think this is one of the major takeaways. The other one being that if you're designing these companies, if you're designing these processes, if you're creating new products, if you're reaching new markets, you're gonna have to think of humans plus agents, not humans or agents. And I have 12 examples of companies. Those were, again, these early adopters. imagine that was throughout 24 that I collected these samples from companies I work with, 12 samples of companies that already understood that and were able to create these workflows. For example, one of the companies is this large meat packing industry that created this automated uh, meat processing facility, and where the data analysis, so whoever analyzes the data from the production line is not human beings, but not because they don't want human beings to do it, but because they couldn't hire. There's no the market is not offering data scientists around. Those people are all employed, right? But this guy needed this to work. So we created this AI agents to understand the data from the production line and generate the sort of insights maybe 2 or 3 years ago a human would have to do. So examples like this one like really shows you where humans will be working together with those agents to get the stuff that we need to get done.
And does it all boil down to that one super magical soft skill? Does it boil down to, right, critical thinking?
Absolutely. As a skill, I don't even like to call it a skill because I think it's more than that. It's a superpower, as you mentioned, right? Because yes, again, that's something that ChatGPT will never be able to. It can even try to copy it, like that's what it's called in artificial intelligence. But to having the moral guidance, to having the judgment, to do making the judgment call at the right time, what is best for the company, what's best for the team, what's best for the moment, that's definitely a human the human value in that process.
One of our last questions as we get ready to wrap up the show. I'm going to put you on the spot, a prediction. 2030, what's our world going to be like with AI?
I think that it will look pretty much the same that it looks right now, in the sense that we're still going to be sleeping every night, maybe less than we should. We're going to be still watching content on our mobile phones. I think health care is going to be a little bit better, not perfect. I think we're still going to have cars, maybe more silent cars, and I hope less polluting cars as well. But what I see happening remember, I come from the developing world, not the developed economies of the world, is that we're getting a lot of people out of the poverty line. We're getting a lot of people to become like middle class. So those people, they consume, they buy, they travel, they study, they use the health system as well. So what I see is like a neat seamless integration of these AI agents in sometimes not showing off and nobody talking about it because it's not very sexy. But in other ways, I think projects like Google's Waymo with the autonomous cars, I used some of those in Austin, Texas, or San Francisco, California. I went to China, and in Shenzhen, I used Didi, which has autonomous cars as well. I think that's going to become the way to go. It's not that we're going to have 90% autonomous cars. It will take decades for that to happen. But I think we're going to be moving into that direction like really fast. Because once, Loralyn, you get a process to be automated, and once you understand how AI makes amazing decisions in driving, for example, autonomous cars have a lot lower accident rate, and I'm talking about rate, not absolute volume, than human drivers. So you have a cheaper car run. Let's talk about Uber, and it's less dangerous, it's more safe. So how can you not go into this way? So I see like this nudging, but something that I think will show off and we're gonna like really see is autonomous robots, the humanoid robots and drones. Drone delivery, for example, was announced at NRF in New York, the Amazon project right there. So I think we're gonna see a lot of flying drones and walking robots on the streets in 2030, definitely.
All right, excellent. So that's the view for 2030. There we go. Now, Kenneth Corrêa of Cognitive Organizations, where can people find you?
They can find me at Instagram. I'm creating content either in Portuguese, which is my home language, but also in English. The profile is the Kenneth Corrêa, by my first name and last name. And I'm writing articles at Medium/Kenneth Corrêa. If people want to buy the book, want to look more into it, I created a landing page called cognitiveorganizations.com, and the book is available on Amazon, either the print or digital Kindle edition.
Excellent. Last question. It is our signature question. If we got to look into your closet and there was some footwear, or maybe it's some other kind of clothing or accessory that represents your personality, it says, this is Kenneth Corrêa, right? If we looked at that, what is it? What are we looking at it, and why is that you?
I think I'm gonna go with the Aura Ring. It's not
I thought you
clothing,
might.
right? But yes, you can wear it because I think it's capturing real time, real data, which I hope it's a little bit private. I don't think so, but that you can make decisions on top of it. So it's capturing data from the real world so you can make better decisions. In this case, for a better life and health.
That
How
sounds
did I
pretty
go?
much like you in this conversation that we've had, and I have thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you so much for sharing your time and expertise here as you're hopping continents and at the end of your ski season. Glad we caught you then. I wish you nothing but continued success. Thank you so much, Kenneth.
Thank you very much, Lorraine. Thank you for having me on this show as well. Thank you.